Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Title IX was a landmark civil rights law. It helped create the incredible breadth of women's sports and girls' sports that we see across the country. I believe in girls' sports. I believe in women's sports. I'm the proud father of two daughters who are both athletes. I think participating in competitive sports is a wonderful thing for a young girl. I think it is a wonderful thing for a woman. And I think, unfortunately, today's Democrat Party has decided that women's sports and girls' sports no longer matters, and they're willing to push radical legislation designed to destroy girls' sports and women's sports. Ms. Gaines, I want to thank you for your courage. You are relatively young, but you have demonstrated incredible courage. And because you have dared to speak up, you have been demonized, you have been vilified. I saw when you were attacked by a leftist mob at San Francisco State University for daring to speak up. You had an incredible record as a swimmer at the University of Kentucky. You were a two-time NCAA All-American. You were a five-time SEC champion. You're an SEC record holder and a two-time Olympic trial qualifier. But yet on March 27th, 2022, something changed. What happened on March 17th, 2022?
Hey everyone, welcome back to America Patriots, the channel where freedom still has a pulse, common sense hasn't filed for bankruptcy, and we actually say what everyone else is thinking without needing 6 lawyers and a Twitter disclaimer. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, slam that like button, and drop a comment below. Because around here, your voice actually matters. And the more this channel grows, the harder it becomes for the clarity challenge folks in DC to ignore common sense. Plus, let's be honest, subscribing to America Patriots increases your patriotism by at least 27%. Beat that Harvard.
That's when Thomas and I raced in the 200 freestyle and again resulted in a tie.
And so you tied. What was the consequence of tying?
We went behind the awards podium where typically you're handed your trophy, you're marched out, you're named an All-American. And so we go back there and the official looks at both Thomas and myself and says, "Great job, but you guys tied. And we only have one trophy, therefore we're giving this trophy to Leah." And I question this and I say, why? And at first I shortened it in my testimony, but really he stumbled on his words. He didn't know how to answer this. And at first he's, well, we're just doing this in chronological order. To which I further pressed and I said, okay, well, what are you being chronological about? Because we tied. And if we're doing this off alphabetical order, G comes before T. So what are you being chronological about? To which this wasn't a script they had prepared for him. And he actually appreciated his honesty. He did say, we have to give the trophy for Leah because Leah has to have it for pictures. They've made that clear. Leah has to have the trophy for pictures. You can pose with this trophy, but you have to give yours back. You have to go home empty-handed. Lia Thomas takes the trophy home. End of story.
Now, let me ask you, as someone who's competed at the elite level, in your experience, is there a difference between women and men?
Of course. I think we learned this at a very young age, watching even 12 and unders play. Going through puberty causes irreversible advantage that no matter the training, no matter the diet, no matter any alterable change you can make will overcome that male advantage, especially in sports like swimming where lung capacity matters so much. Even something as silly as throat size, men have on average a 40% larger throat, which sounds like it's nothing, but when you're grasping for air, that 40% larger throat makes a huge difference in athletic success, not to mention height. You guys know the differences.
Ms. Robinson, do you agree with Ms. Gaines that there's a difference between women and men?
If the question is about trans women...
I'm just asking, is there a difference between women and men?
What I can say is that the NCAA has rules in place. They've had rules in place for the last decade, and when this competition happened,
I'm going to try again.
The rules were clear.
Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? It's a yes-no question. Do you believe there's a difference?
Oh, I think that we're talking about this case with the NCAA.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? Most people could answer this very simply. I'm curious if you're willing to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just putting it into the context context of the
Is that a yes?
conversation that we're having. I think that there are definitions related to sex.
Is
but
that
I
a
also
yes?
think
So I'm
that
trying to
when
get a yes or no. I'm not trying to get a speech.
I'm
Is there a difference between women and men?
I think that there are definitions for biological sex.
Okay, so you're
which
not
is
answering
different
that.
than
Let me
gender.
ask you this question then. Why do women's sports exist? If you can't define a difference between women and men, why not abolish women's sports and just tell little girls to swim with little boys and see who wins?
Oh, I'm simply saying that that sex is
My
different
question,
than gender.
why
and I do
do-
believe
why
that
do
women's
women's
sports have a great
exist?
value. I mean, Senator, I'll tell you right
Ms.
now.
Robinson, please answer the question I'm asking you.
Absolutely.
Why do women's sports exist?
I think that there are so many positive benefits to sports.
But
I mean,
why have a
we talked
separate
about it here
category for
today.
women? If there's no difference between women and men, why to have women's sports?
I'm saying that there's a difference between sex and gender, and that the NCAA has rules in place, which they have for the last decade.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter into the record an article from Duke Law called Comparing Athletic Performances for the Best Elite Women to Boys and Men. And it goes through examining in 2017 the top records for women in the world in various track and field events. So, for example, in the 100 meter, the top record for women in the world was 10.71 seconds. Now, that record for the number one woman in the world in 2017 was, in the year 2017, broken by 124 boys under 18. In that same year, the record for the number one competing woman in the 100-meter dash in the world was broken by a total of 2,474 men. If the radical Democrat agenda to destroy girls' sports and women's sports succeeds, little girls will not have a chance to compete. So I ask unanimous consent that this article be entered into the record.
Without objection. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, a recent
So I'm watching this hearing, right? And Senator Ted Cruz is over here giving what I can only describe as the verbal equivalent of a WWE body slam. Politely, of course, talking about Title IX and women's sports. And he's right. Title IX was a landmark civil rights protection. It opened doors. It put women on podiums. It created champions. It created opportunities so girls in America could dream big, without some bureaucrat telling them to just try harder against guys built like refrigerators. Then we get the star witness, Riley Gaines. And honestly, if courage was an Olympic event, she'd have taken gold, silver, and bronze. This woman swam at elite levels, collected titles like Pokemon cards, and shows up to tell the truth even after being chased around by protesters like she stole somebody's vegan latte at San Francisco State. She gives this story about tying Lia Thomas in the 200 freestyle. And apparently, tying doesn't mean tying. No, silly us. It means we only have one trophy, and shocker, it goes to Leah. They told her she could hold the trophy, but then had to hand it back. That's not an award ceremony. That's an episode of Pawn Stars. And the official actually said, Leah needs it for pictures. Folks, if your sports rules are being decided by Instagram photo ops, your system might need a reboot. Then Cruz asked a simple question. Is there a difference between women and men? And Miss Robinson reacts like he asked her to solve quantum physics while blindfolded. She dodges a question harder than a politician dodging a tax audit. Yes or no? Well, definitions, context. Ma'am, it's not a trick question. Nobody asked for a TED Talk. Then Cruz drops the stats. Best female sprinters beaten by hundreds of boys under 18. Thousands of men. Imagine training your whole life, eating kale, swimming at 5 a.m., only to be told, sorry, sweetie, equality means losing to teenage boys now. America, we're better than that. Women's sports exist for a reason, because women deserve fairness. Because competition should be based on biology, not feelings. Because girls should be able to compete with girls, not be used as political props for people who write legislation with crayons. Look, supporting women's sports without rewriting reality is not radical. It's called common sense. It's called fairness. It's called respecting women, real women, biological women, actual women who train, sacrifice, and compete. But today we watch someone avoid acknowledging basic biological differences, like it's forbidden knowledge from a treasure map. Meanwhile, Every person who ever played middle school dodgeball already knows the answer. If you enjoyed this breakdown, and if you believe in protecting women's sports, protecting common sense, and keeping America grounded in reality, make sure to subscribe to America Patriots. Tap that like button like you're swatting away bad legislation. Drop a comment telling me what you think about fairness in sports. And remember, here at America Patriots, we don't cancel people for asking simple questions. We celebrate them. Because freedom needs defenders, and apparently, so does women swimming. Stay strong, stay bold, stay patriotic. United States